do not hate your job. You are not failing. You are not underperforming. So why does it feel like something is quietly missing? That tension right there is what most high achievers are afraid to admit. Because on paper, you are doing well. You have the title, the income, the responsibilities, the respect. From the outside, everything looks fine. And that is what makes this so confusing, because emptiness does not make sense when your life looks successful. Let me say something that might feel uncomfortable and relieving at the same time. External success does not automatically create internal alignment. And when the two drift apart, you feel it not as collapse, but as quiet disconnection. Let me describe what this often looks like. You hit a milestone you once prayed for: promotion, leadership role, bigger scope. You celebrate. Maybe you post about it. Maybe people congratulate you. And for a moment, it feels validating. Then, few weeks later, the silence. You wake up and think, is this it? Not because it is bad, but because it does not feel like you anymore. You still perform, you still deliver, but something inside feels muted. Like you are watching yourself succeed instead of experiencing it. That is the emptiness no one talks about. Especially common in high achieving professionals, because you are very good at hitting targets, but you were never taught to evaluate alignment. You are trained to chase achievement, not to question identity. And here is the dangerous part. When your identity evolves, but your career path does not, success starts to feel heavy. Let's open a loop here. Why does success sometimes create emptiness instead of fulfillment? We will answer that in a moment, but we need to dismantle a myth. The myth says, if I just achieve more, I will finally feel settled. But achievement only amplifies who you already are. If you are aligned, success feels expansive. If you are misaligned, success feels restrictive, because now you are rewarded for something that no longer fits. Imagine wearing a suit tailored perfectly for who you were 5 years ago. Back then, it fit beautifully. Now, it's tight in places, restrictive, uncomfortable, but everyone keeps complimenting it. So you keep wearing it. That is what happens when you outgrow a professional identity. And here is the subtle shift most people miss. Emptiness is not a lack of gratitude. It is often a signal of evolution. You can appreciate where you are and still know it is no longer aligned. Those two truths can coexist, but high achievers struggle with this because we equate questioning with disloyalty. We equate dissatisfaction with weakness. We equate change with instability. So instead of investigating the emptiness, we suppress it. We tell ourselves, other people would love this position. I worked too hard to get here. I should just push through. And that suppression is exhausting. Now, let's close the loop. Why does success sometimes create emptiness? Because success locks you into expectations. The higher you climb, the harder it feels to pivot. The more visible you become, the riskier it feels to change. And suddenly, you are not just managing work, you are managing image. You are managing perception. You are managing the identity other people have attached to you. And that pressure creates internal conflict. You start asking, if I am no longer this version of myself, who am I? And that question can feel destabilized, but it's actually maturity. Professional maturity is not just climbing, it is recalibrating. Now, let's get precise. There are three common roots behind successful on paper but empty inside. First, identity drift. You are not who you were when you chose this path. Your values refined, your priorities shifted, your capacity deepened, but your role stayed static. Second, performance fusion. Your worth became attached to output. So even when the work no longer energizes you, you keep excelling because that is who you have been praised for being. Thirdly, emotional suppression. You learned to override your intuition. You learned to silence discomfort. You learned to endure rather than evaluate. And when emotional data is ignored long enough, it shows up as emptiness, not chaos, not breakdown, just quiet detachment. Now, let us use a metaphor. Have you ever watched a sequel, a movie that did not need a sequel? The first one was powerful, complete, aligned, but the second one feels forced. Not because it's terrible, but because the story already reached its natural conclusion. Sometimes careers are like that. You completed one arc, but instead of writing a new aligned chapter, you are stretching the old one. And stretching something past its design creates strain. So what do most professionals do at this point? They jump to extremes. I need to quit. I need to start over. I need to escape. But emptiness does not automatically mean abandonment. It means investigation. This is where emotional intelligence matters. Before you move, diagnose. Ask yourself, if I removed fear from the equation, what would I admit feels off? If no one judged me, what would I say I have outgrown? If income was protected, what would I recalibrate? These are not impulsive questions. They are strategic ones, because realignment is not about blowing up your life. It is about adjusting trajectory before resentment builds. Let's recap. You can be successful and misaligned. You can be grateful and evolving. You can be high performing and internally questioning. None of that makes you unstable. It makes you self-aware. And self-awareness is the beginning of strategic movement. In 4 to 6 weeks, with a structured process, you can gain clarity on whether you need reinvention or realignment. Diagnose the root of your professional misalignment. Identify your next aligned strategic move and build a transition roadmap that protects your income, credibility, and identity. No drama, no impulsive exits, just precision. Because the goal is not to abandon success. It is to redefine it in a way that reflects who you are now. If this resonated, stay with me. Tomorrow we are breaking down the 5 clear signs you are experiencing identity performance misalignment. So you can stop guessing and start diagnosing. You are not empty. You are evolving, and evolution always feels uncomfortable before it feels aligned. I will see you on the next one.